These hollies here, I call them stickle bushes because they have very sharp needles, and I've been stuck by them probably 1,000 times since we've lived here. I cut these back to almost stumps a long time ago. I can't get by there anymore. It's encroaching into the yard. I'm trying to show you a barrel. There's my barrel. There's another barrel. We've got to do something about this today. It's probably going to take 2 or 3 days. There's another barrel I can't use because it's gotten too big. And this, I call it a U. It has really gotten big. And see how it's restricting your walkway through here? We're going to have to trim all this back. Unfortunately, I should have done it earlier, but I've had too many other things to do. Because we have got to flush a new growth on it. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut that off, and it would have been a lot better if I'd trimmed this back earlier, and all the energy in the roots wouldn't have been wasted with what I'm going to cut off. So for the next, so at least 3 or 4 days. See how this has grown way over the pond? I'm putting down weed fertilizer today. So I had to take these things off and get them off the yard. That's not horrible looking. Sort of looks nice hanging over the pond, but it's really hard to clean it out. So anyway, we got a lot of stuff that needs to be cut back. See how it's restricting your flow through here? Today it's wet. And I definitely have ivy that's becoming almost uncontrollable. Don't ever plant ivy in your yard. Look at that, it just goes everywhere. We pulled it out of here 6 or 8 times. That's all for right now. Well, it's 5:45 here on the East Coast, and you can see I got room to get by here now. You can actually see the barrels. And there's a lot going in it. Found a few hostas to pack up in there. One time I had them ringed all the way around. Now I will trim that up a little more with a chainsaw, and they'll come back. By doing it now, they'll come back by winter, and that's where the birds like to roost. And whenever the hawks are in the yard, they run in these bushes to hide. All that green matter you see in there is holly that has come up from the roots. And the only way to get it out of there is to cut everyone off, and every time it cuts off, cut it off again. Nightmare. But the birds love it. Well, we did this. We can now walk through here like we should be able to, and ride a lawnmower, push a cart through here. Cleaned it out. Had a lot of ivy growing around this well of mine. Cut it back a lot heavier here because when I was looking and cutting back there, I found out I got a hole where that collar reducer is welded onto the tank. I'm going to have to take all this apart and get somebody to weld it up for me. We opened this up a whole lot more. Trim this down. Trim this back. We topped out a lot of this. Opened up this little walkway back. We had ivy growing around this post. This is salt treated. That post's probably been in there about 8 years. And you can see that the bottom's rotted out of it. And that was just the ivy was strangling it, and it was holding moisture to it. Might Might have to stick with that height. That's all cleaned off back there. You can see the whole pond. It really helps when we have to get in there and clean that thing out. And this side has a couple branches up there we need to top out. And we're generally trying to let that go so that eventually it would all be the same size. This is another U. We squared that off. Got a bigger walkway. Cleaned some of the deck off. These old saw-treated boards have been on there for probably 25 years. They're starting to show their age. And we've got that done. And this one is sitting beside the house here, one on each side, and see why it grew out so bad. What happens to the side of the boxwoods? Look at that boxwood, and that's not too bad. It's shaped up. I haven't done the top. But that bush on this side had grown into it. I would say that's a stark difference. Just laziness on my part, not keeping this thing cut back. And this bed, when I cut it out the last time, probably 15 years ago, it was just as many holly bushes in there strong. And I've had to go in here and cut back. I'm going to cut back these azaleas really big time because they've gotten way too leggy and way too tall. You can see them in there. They're laying over. They're 5 or 6 feet laying over, and I've cut the tops out of them. You can see some of them where it's been cut. And some of these holly bushes are probably not going to make it, which I'm not going to be too upset with. This will be a nice shade garden, and this is probably about a 20-foot circle. So if I could ever get the hollies out of there and cut the azaleas back and put a few hostas in there and a few shade-loving plants, it'll be pretty good. I don't know if you've ever had I think it's Henry Lauder milk or something, but it's a walking stick. And this we bought years ago. That's really super slow going. They're not cheap. And it got so big and heavy that it was laying on the ground. So I put this frame in here and tied it together with some of my nylon hose. And then I used the nylon hose to tie this thing to it. So I tied that to the frame and tied this branch to that branch. Those little pieces of hose, you can't really see them that much, but they're holding this up, and it's pretty heavy. This is really quite a neat looking shrub to have. But anyway, that's the way it's going, and I appreciate y'all watching.